Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So we all know John. I think that's his name. I don't remember. It's his name now. He is the man who created the conservative dating app The Right Stuff. And he likes to sit down at restaurants by himself and eat food while he says the most ridiculous, stupid things. He created this dating app and yet has not himself ever been on a date in his life, or at least none that are successful, because all he's doing constantly is eating by himself. So, if I were all conservatives, I wouldn't trust him because he clearly doesn't know what he's doing. But, I thought it would be fun to have a look at what he is up to. I saw him come up on my For You page the other day. Someone stitched him, and I took that as a sign. Yeah, we're gonna have a look at what John is doing. Some background on him, though, is that, he used to work for Trump during his last presidency, and I think that's so funny because, he literally doesn't have a single thought that makes any sense at all. And I think that makes a lot of sense given who Trump is as a person. I also would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Indigo. I love and appreciate you and your support so much, so thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you enjoy this video. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. It starts at £1 a month, and for that you get my videos 1 to 5 days early with no ads for those days. So if you would like to see my videos ad-free, go join my Patreon. I would also love it if you hit the subscribe button. Over 50% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed, and it would mean a lot if you did subscribe. I want to hit 500k by the end of the year, and I would love the help. With all that now said and done, let's get into the ridiculous, mindless shit, shall we?
If Kamala can choose a white husband, why can't black men choose a white president?
What are you talking about? What? What do you mean? No one's saying that. The point for the past election was more that the white candidate was racist. We were saying that black people voting for Trump were voting against their best interest, not because Trump is white, but because he is a raging racist who wants to implement racist policies. That's why. The points are not related at all. No one is saying that black people can't vote for a white president, just that they shouldn't vote for Trump because Trump doesn't care about them. There's a difference, you see. Those are not the same thing. Also, I don't understand the relation at all. At all. How are those two things even remotely related to one another? Pull your head out of your ass, John. You're not making any sense.
Can you imagine telling a man that his bodily autonomy should be left up to the states? Yeah, it's called the draft. You might not have heard of it because only men have to sign up.
Hey, did you know that we're also against the draft? Did you know that we also think the draft is bad? I don't think anyone should have to sign up to go to war. I don't think that should be forced on anyone. I think that that's a horrible thing. I firstly just think in general war is bad. That shouldn't happen, but obviously, regardless of that, we don't actually like the draft. And also, the draft hasn't been used in over 50 years, so irrelevant once again. When has being a man on the draft actually affected you personally? And also another question, who put that in place? Who decided it was only men who were on the draft? I'll give you a clue. It wasn't women.
If Africa should be for Africans and Asia should be for Asians, should Europe be for Europeans?
What does this mean? I know I've said that for literally every single video he's made so far, but the question still stands. Literally, what is he talking about? What goes through your head that makes you be like, you know what a great thing to say would be? This. It requires having to sit here and try to guess what you're getting at. Like, these are so vague. They could mean so many things. Is this pro-colonization? Is it anti-immigration? Is it both? Like, what is this? I'm going to try to make sense of what he's saying based on who I know he is as a person. So, we say colonization is bad. Like, Europeans shouldn't go in and like take over countries in like Asia and Africa because that's bad. You're connecting that and saying it's the same thing as immigrants from like Asia and Africa moving to Europe. Are you trying to say that those are the same thing? Because there's a massive difference between like conquering and like stealing a country and just going to live in a new place. Like, those are not on par at all. Like, for starters, Europeans do move to Asia and Africa. Like, there are Europeans that live in those countries, and no one is saying that's a problem. Like, if you want to go move to Japan, go move to Japan. If you want to fucking move to Uganda, no one's stopping you. Just like go and respect their culture and you're fucking fine. You know, no one's stopping you from doing that. And the same goes vice versa. If people from wherever want to move here, they're allowed to do that. Countries aren't real. It's all made up. It's all stupid. We're all just people living on Earth, and we created ridiculous lines that are like, you can't cross this line without paying thousands of dollars and blah, blah, blah. It's all just Earth. Live wherever the fuck you want. Who cares? Just don't hurt people in order to do it. Don't take away someone's home in order to live there. Just go integrate yourself and live with the people there and acknowledge you are in their space. You know what I mean? But if you're trying to say that everyone should stay where they're from, like everyone from Africa should stay in Africa, everyone from Asia should stay in Asia, everyone from Europe should stay in Europe, everyone from America should stay in America, that means you, sir, have to get the fuck out because you're not American. You're European. Like, if we want to be real technical about it, a lot of the world will have to move to Europe because they kind of took over a lot of places. And really only native people should remain in their own countries. I've technically already gone back to where I came from because I'm obviously from New Zealand and my ancestors are from here. And now I'm here. So, you know, your turn. Ridiculous. Live where you want. Just like don't gentrify. Don't just don't like gentrify places. You know what I mean? Like, don't drive up their cost of living. Don't take over their spaces. Don't go in and like force your culture on other people. Like, you can have your own cultural areas in other countries, that's fine. But if you're going in and taking advantage of people because they have like cheaper living than you, you're the problem. There's a difference between moving somewhere because you want to live overseas or in a country that you prefer and moving somewhere just because you want to take advantage of the people that live there. If you want to move overseas, move with respect. But like, you can move to Asia if you want to. You can move to Africa if you want to. No one is stopping you.
When shit hits the fan, those hillbillies you make fun of really come in handy.
Once again, this is so ridiculously vague. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I had to ask Kat to interpret this one because, like, you gave me no information at all. Like, nothing. No information. Like, what do hillbillies have to do with anything? Kat said that from her perspective, what she thinks is that when you go to war, all the like gun nut hillbillies are the ones who are going to like lay their life on the line because they're patriotic and they care about their country. So they're going to fight for the country and protect you. But I don't care. I don't agree. Patriotism, I think that you shouldn't just like fight for your country for no reason other than you're told to go fight for your country. Like, I think that more thought needs to go into it than that. And I don't think it's worth the trade, especially because I feel like if there's going to be a war in the States, it's most definitely going to be started by you and you're not going to be the good guys. I fear the hillbillies and those people like whose morals align with that, like the patriotic gun nuts, who are supporting people like Trump. You are going to be the reason the wars start anyway. So that's kind of like being thankful to the arsonist because they brought a fire extinguisher to the fire that they started. Like, we're not grateful for you. You started this bullshit in the first place. Like, you're just cleaning up the mess that you made. Like, shit hit the fan because you made it hit the fan.
So TSA can scream at me for not putting my shoes in a separate bin, but cops can't ask a black guy a question? Got it.
I, once again, would love to know the correlation between these two things. Like, the TSA rules are super annoying. Airport rules are super annoying. They didn't used to exist. And then obviously 9/11 happened and it changed airports all around the world. And obviously 9/11 was like a terrible tragedy, but it is kind of insane how much of a global impact that made on like airport standards. And it is frustrating, I will give you. Sometimes it feels a little bit ridiculous. However, that's so completely irrelevant to this entire conversation because like, yeah, I don't think they're screaming at you. I've never actually seen a TSA agent scream at anyone. They've just been a bit fed up being like, can you please do the thing I asked you to do and do the thing that's on all the signs everywhere? Like, I don't automatically take my shoes off when going through an airport because most airports do not require that of you. And so when I've gone to the States and I have to do that, they're like, please take your shoes off. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've never been screamed at, and I very much doubt you were screamed at either, unless you were actively causing trouble. However, you were told off and asked to do something because that is a rule. You were breaking a rule. There are signs for it. They've asked you to do it. Everyone around you is doing it. There are rules. They are in place for a reason. Whether you agree with it or not, the rule is there. You have to follow it. If you don't, they will tell you to. And they will ask you to and get mad at you if you refuse to. If a cop is asking a black guy a question for literally no reason, like if he's just walking down the street and is stopped by a cop and asked questions, why should he have to answer? You shouldn't be stopped by a cop for no reason. If they were actively doing something illegal in that moment, sure, then they're going to be asked questions. And I would imagine anyone of any race should be stopped to be asked a question if they are actively committing a crime, as you were actively breaking the rules. But if you are not breaking the rules, then you should not be questioned by authority. Like, that's the big difference here. If he is being stopped to be questioned by the cop for no reason, the reason he's being stopped is because he is black. And that's racist. Whereas you were stopped by TSA because you were actively breaking a rule. There is a difference. Please do, like, use your brain and stop being stupid for 3 seconds. You know that it's not the same thing.
Maybe unborn babies should disguise themselves as death row inmates so liberals will care about their right to live.
I don't think you can be comparing a death row inmate and an unborn fetus. Like, a clump of cells that has absolutely no sentience. Like, sure, it's alive, but it has no sentience at all. It doesn't feel pain. It doesn't know it exists. Nothing. Versus a fully grown human who is like a whole adult, who has lived life, is completely aware of the life that they are living and the choices that they are making. Like, they are not even remotely comparable. I don't think the government should be able to decide who lives and who dies. I don't think anyone should have that power. And I also think it's so hypocritical. The punishment for like killing people is to kill you. Like, that's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. And like, obviously so many people who get put on death row, there are innocent people who get put on death row. There are innocent people who have their life taken away from them because the justice system is fucked. You know, it's not always correct. And it's like, it's so funny when people like this come out and are like pro death row, but also so anti like wasting taxpayer money, because do you know how much money, like how much taxpayer money goes into death row? Do you know how much it costs to execute someone? Like, it costs millions of dollars and you don't blink an eye about it. Like, all of this is funded from your pocket, and yet you don't give a shit. You care more about an unborn fetus than you do about someone's full actual life being taken away from them. And I'm not saying like some people don't deserve to be punished to like the highest degree or whatever. Like, some people have done some truly, truly horrific shit, but I still don't believe in the death penalty. I've always viewed like death as the easy way out. You know, there's a lot of people who would choose death over a lot of things. And I think that it's too easy. So, regardless of anything, I am not pro death penalty, and I am all for a woman's right to choose. And I think that trying to compare those two things is incredibly fucked up and idiotic of you.
So liberals think science explains everything in existence, except when it comes to defining what a woman is, then it's much more complicated than just science. Got it.
Nope, that's still science. Just because you don't know anything about biology past a high school level doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Science agrees with the existence of trans people. It's not our fault that you refuse to ignore science past what you were taught in high school. Like, you did not study biology at university. You did not go into that field as a career. You learned the basics in high school and have run with that. If I ran with what I learned in biology at high school and not any further, that would mean there's only two eye colors, brown and blue, because those are the only like alleles that we learned about. It would mean that there's like, you have curly hair or straight hair, not the different types or like tightness of curls or anything. You either have brown hair or blonde hair. You either have, like, you learn very black and white things. We only learned X versus Y stuff. It was one or the other, because that's like Punnett squares, that's what we learned in biology at high school, because we didn't have time to go any deeper than that. You just need the basics and the general understanding, but obviously it goes deeper than that. It's just beyond the level you were going to be learning at high school, and you just took that and ran with it. It's so much more complicated than just what you learn at school. Don't act like you know. And don't say to someone whose field is actually in the sciences and be like, yeah, but like when I went to school, I learned that XX and XY. And it's like, okay, you sound like an idiot, because that is just the surface of the entire thing. Like, you barely broke the surface. Don't act like you know what you're talking about, okay? Also, I find it really funny how they always do, like, they always use women. They're like, they can't define what a woman is. Why do we never talk about trans men? It's just because it doesn't fit this insane narrative they have of protecting women. Like, they just ignore the existence of trans men because it doesn't benefit their entire argument of, but what about the woman? Protect women! Like, it doesn't fit with that ridiculous argument they have. And it's ridiculous because they don't actually give a single shit about women. As you can see by the fact they voted like a sex criminal into presidency. They don't actually give a shit about anything. They just sort of say whatever they can to try to prove whatever stupid point they're trying to prove this day.
Perfect. Thank you. Enjoy, please. Thank you. If gun-free zones work, why don't we set up rape-free zones?
So, I don't know if you're aware of this, John, but everywhere is a rape-free zone. Like, that's everywhere. You're not allowed to do that anywhere, anytime, ever. It's illegal everywhere. Oh my god, what? What? I'm gonna try to interpret this in a way that I'm gonna try to look at this from a different angle of, like, I suppose maybe he's implying that since everywhere is a rape-free zone and people still get raped, setting up gun-free zones is ineffective because people are still going to use guns. I feel like saying it like that is giving him more credit than he's worth. I feel like he wasn't actually thinking like that, but I'm gonna propose that as what he was trying to say. And I would like to counter that by saying that a lot less gun violence would happen. Yes, rape happens a lot. Obviously, it's a massive issue, but I have a few things to add to that. One being, it's not punished as much as it should be. There's so much injustice when it comes to sexual assault and rape. Like, so many men get away with it. And I think that if it was legal, it would happen even more, like so much more. It would be horrific. So it being illegal does actually help prevent more than there is. And also I think that it would happen less if people were actually prosecuted and properly punished for committing said crimes. But unfortunately, We are completely mistreated by the justice system, and so many men face absolutely zero consequences and can end up in positions such as President of the United States despite it, you know? That's why it happens regardless of it being illegal. Whereas like with gun-free zones, if you did set up gun-free zones and actually went through and like prosecuted and like set up actual consequences for breaking those rules, it would happen less. There would be less guns because there would be actual consequences to having a gun. It's pretty simple maths, you know?
If America really is the most racist, unbearable place on earth, why does everyone want to move here?
We don't. I can assure you that we don't. You are just so brainwashed into thinking that you are the best country in the entire world that you think everyone wants to move here. You are so brainwashed by the fact that you think you are the best country in the world that you've been told everyone wants to move there, when that is not the case. I do not know a single person who wants to live in the States. I don't know a single person. Everyone I know hates the States. They hate you. They hate it. Like, no one I know has any intention of ever moving there. Like, it's like the last resort. Like, it's like the last place people want to move to. You are just so brainwashed and think that that's what people want because you've been told that that's what people want. You have been told your entire life that you are the best country ever and that the American dream is the best thing in the entire world, that you have convinced yourself into thinking that everyone is jealous and everyone wants to live there. But that is so completely wrong. The rest of the world fucking hates you. We're laughing at you constantly. We're making fun of you all the time. You are the butt of every single joke. No matter what beef countries have with one another, you are always the one we hate more. There are people who do want to move there. There are people, especially in like struggling countries or places that have received your propaganda without the knowledge, like the full knowledge of what is actually going on there and who you are, because your propaganda is so strong. Like, especially when you're kids. When I was a kid, I wanted to go to the US so bad because so much of our like media comes from the US. And this is like an interesting just personal story I have, right? Like, we grew up with a lot of American television and American movies, obviously. And a lot of it talks about, I'm going to say like LA in particular. LA and Hollywood are so glamorized in the media. Like, it's like City of Angels, the place to go to make your dreams come true, an incredible place. It's like so brilliant and fantastic. So when I went to LA, I was expecting a really nice place. When I went to Hollywood, I was expecting this like beautiful, clean, glamorous place. It is one of the worst places I have ever been. I've been to a lot of places. I've been to 30 countries and multiple cities in every single one of those countries. And the US is at the bottom. Probably, I would put it like at the bottom. Granted, I've not been to many places. I've been to LA, Oakland, Seattle, San Francisco. And I liked Seattle. I'll give you that. That was pretty alright. But like, ultimately, LA, right? It's better now. I've gone multiple times because I've gone for concerts. But like, it's better now that I know what to expect. But going there for the first time, after spending my entire life being told by the media that it's this beautiful, incredible place, was so disappointing. Hollywood in particular is objectively, like, I will say, bottom 5 places I've ever been. Like, it's horrible. It's shocking. It's so dirty. There is nothing there. I would never, ever, like, every person I've talked to has asked about, like, going to LA or whatever. I will say to everyone, like, don't go to Hollywood. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. The fucking, like, Walk of Fame, like, all those stars, it's so dirty and poorly maintained and just horrible. I was expecting this, like, really nice, like, well-maintained, beautiful stretch of... That's not it at all. And it's wild that they, like, teach us and, like, brainwash us into thinking that it's this beautiful, incredible place where, like, dreams come true and you find... Like, it's wild. Even the beaches are really weird. Like, it's so strange. And, like, they sit here and are like, everyone wants to come here. Everyone wants to move here. No, No. And after I visited, I wanted to even less. And I'm like now not going to the US for the foreseeable future. Like I refuse to go to that country when Trump is in charge, and that's where like any money I spend, like I would be paying taxes and they would be going towards that, and I refuse to be a part of that. But yeah, I promise you people don't want to move there. And once people actually go, like they think they want to move there based off of what they've been told and what they see on TV and in the media and what propaganda is being fed to them. Once they show up, a lot of them very quickly realize that, oh no, I actually don't want to be here, like I did. Because like, you know, especially people who come from like not white countries, realizing that they are going to be treated like shit. They're not going to be given the opportunity to have the American dream. And for some people, sure, it might be better than the alternative. But it's still not great. It's definitely not what it's being advertised as. Yeah, I promise people don't want to move there. I promise most people don't want to move there. And if you want, like, and if you're so anti-immigration, maybe stop with the propaganda. Like, if you want people to stop moving there, stop telling everyone it's the best place on earth. Stop telling people that if they come to the US, their lives will improve greatly and that, like, you're incredible and everything is great. People will stop moving there if you stop telling everyone to move there. You can't be telling the world, come here, we're the best country ever. And then when they show up being like, why is everyone moving here? Why does everyone want... Stop telling them to move there. Maybe they will.
If Republicans make abortion illegal, women will just have them illegally. But if we make guns illegal, they'll all just disappear.
No one is saying guns would completely disappear. You know, guns exist in most places. Like, people still go hunting and whatever. You just need, like, stricter licenses and less people get them. Firstly, the first step would be doing, like, what we did back in New Zealand, is getting rid of, like, semi-automatic rifles. Like, you do not need weapons like that. There's no purpose for them. That alone would make such a drastic difference if you limited it to only, like, shotguns or handguns or whatever. I don't know enough about guns to know what the differences are. But you don't need, like, massive... mass murder, huge weapons that can kill a bunch of people in under a second type guns, you know? Like, there's no need for that. So if you did what we did in New Zealand, where you go and you trade them in, like you give them back to the store, you get paid to trade them in, and you should have the list of everyone who has one of those, because you should have to have a license and like register when you buy one. So you should be able to track down who has those and get them to return them. And then the same can be said for all other types of guns as well. Like, you should have a record of who has them and you should be able to hand them in and then destroy them. Obviously, it's not going to get rid of all of them, but it will get rid of a majority of them. And if it is illegal to obtain them, less people are going to go through the effort of getting them. The reason so many people have them is because of convenience. It's easy to access them, so they are going to get them. Once something is illegal, like, no, it doesn't stop people from getting them, but it makes it a hell of a lot harder. Like, you can't tell me that you would go out of your way to go to, like, some backstreet illegal meetup to get yourself a gun. Like, you aren't doing that. Most people aren't doing that. So it would greatly decrease that. And it would also mean if you were caught with one, you would be punished. So, like, there's less of a chance of it actually occurring. Like, less people would die. There would be less people affected by gun violence. There would still be guns. It's impossible to get rid of all of them. But, like, there would be a lot less of it. Whereas with abortion, anyone can do an abortion. And they will do, like, try dangerous methods. And it can kill people by trying. Women will die giving themselves abortions in ways that are unhealthy and in ways that could endanger them. You know, getting rid of guns doesn't endanger anyone. Making abortions illegal does endanger people. Big difference here. Making guns illegal doesn't have any negative impacts. Even if it doesn't entirely stop gun violence, it will decrease it. Whereas making abortion illegal has negative impacts and does kill people. So, very different things.
Why is a TV show about drag queens rated MA for mature audiences? I thought drag shows were supposed to be appropriate for children.
Because there are different things for everything. Like, what do you... Like, RuPaul's Drag Race has sexual themes. It has foul language because it is a show for adults. That's just what that show in particular is. Family Guy is also rated mature audiences, and that's about a family, and families are typically pretty kid-friendly, right? There are varying degrees for literally everything. Some shows are going to have sexual themes and swearing and violence, and some are not. And that goes for everything. So like for drag shows, yes, RuPaul's Drag Race has sexual themes and is for mature audiences. Some drag shows in real life also are, and then others aren't. You can have adult versions of literally anything, and adult versions of everything does exist. Just because one variation of it is for adults doesn't mean all variations of it are. You cannot be this stupid. I would please like you to use your brain for like 1 second. Like I know it must be in there somewhere. Can you please access it? Because like it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's so funny though, because he hasn't actually posted on TikTok since the 1st of January. He's like gone missing. I'm wondering if maybe he finally got a date that stuck and like they won't film him when he's out for dinner, or he feels rude like going out for dinner and like filming these TikToks. Like, I'm so curious to know why he's just vanished for the past couple months. Good riddance though. Thank you for being gone. But it is really funny. I wonder where he's gone. I wonder why he's left, because I'm curious. Is he gonna pop up again? He used to post like every single day, and now he's like, he's gone. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I do appreciate it so much. So thank you. A huge thank you to my Kiwi cat patrons: Bobby, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Lady Nutbar, Ella, Queen Glimmer, River, Phenomenally, Jesse, Phil the Duck, Uh-Oh, It's Craiglow, Blaze, Blue Kitsune 24, M.A. Ping the Games, Joy, L. James D, Prismatic, and Beckett. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Please do not forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. Also, Blue Sky, The Queer Kiwi. People keep asking if I have one. I do. I just always forget that I do, but it is there. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.